A narcissist hopes you'll doubt yourself. That's the first and most subtle weapon in their arsenal after you've gone no contact, because silence isn't just uncomfortable for them. It's terrifying, not because they miss you, but because they lose the ability to influence your thoughts. And that's where their control always lived, in your mind. So when you go quiet, they don't just worry about being alone. They worry you're finally seeing clearly. That's why their hope is that in the silence, your confidence will start to crack. That you'll begin replaying moments and thinking, maybe I overreacted, or was it really that bad? You see, a narcissist doesn't just gaslight you in the moment, they condition you over time. They rewrite reality in ways that are so subtle, you don't even notice it's happening. And after enough exposure to their narrative, you start to internalize their version of events. You begin to feel like you were the unstable one, you were too emotional, you expected too much. So when you finally walk away, they're hoping you carry those internalized doubts with you. They're counting on it. That's why no contact isn't just a boundary. It's a detox. It's the space you need to recalibrate your mind. But in that space, the old programming will try to creep in. The narcissist hopes you'll start romanticizing the past. That you'll remember the rare times they were charming, affectionate, attentive, and forget that those were calculated moments designed to keep you hooked. They want the silence to become a vacuum that pulls you back in, not a sanctuary where you find your strength. They also hope you'll question your right to walk away, that you'll start thinking, maybe I should have tried harder, or I could have communicated better. They want you to feel like giving up on the relationship was a failure rather than a breakthrough. Because the longer you believe that ending the relationship was a mistake, the more likely you are to reopen the door. And once it's open, even just a crack, they know how to wedge their way back in. Here's the truth they don't want you to realize. Your doubt is not a reflection of truth, it's a residue of manipulation. Of course you're questioning yourself. That's what being chronically invalidated does to a person. But healing means learning to trust your instincts again, to recognize that the version of you that left, that finally said, enough, was the most courageous version of you there is. So yes, the narcissist hopes you'll doubt yourself. But that hope dies a little every day you don't reach out. Every day you remind yourself why you left. Every day you stay grounded in your truth. Because their power was never in who they were. It was in what they made you believe about yourself. And once you stop believing it, they lose everything. The narcissist hopes you'll be the one to break the silence first. Not because they miss you, not because they regret what they did, but because when you're the one who reaches out, it reinforces the story in their mind that they still have power over you. That no matter how bad it got, no matter how many boundaries you set, you're still emotionally tied to them. And to a narcissist, that thread, no matter how thin, is everything. It gives them access. It gives them control. It means their tactics are still working. They understand something very human about you. Silence is uncomfortable, especially after emotional chaos. The end of a toxic relationship doesn't come with peace right away. It comes with withdrawal. Your nervous system has been trained to expect noise, drama, conflict, apology, repeat. And now suddenly there's nothing. That stillness can feel like abandonment, even if you're the one who walked away. The narcissist knows this, and they hope that as the silence stretches on, you'll start to feel anxious, that you'll interpret their silence as indifference, that you'll need closure or clarity or just one more conversation. And when that urge rises in you, they're counting on you to act on it. But let's be clear, if you do reach out, they won't meet you with warmth or growth. They'll meet you with strategy. They may respond with false vulnerability, pretending to miss you, saying they've changed. Or they might be cold, aloof, even angry, just to throw you off and make you chase. Either way, the goal is the same, to re-establish control. They don't want connection. They want confirmation. Confirmation that you're still emotionally available to them, through them. That your no contact wasn't real power, just temporary weakness dressed up as strength. Every day you don't message them, don't react, don't engage. It chips away at their ego, because silence is your greatest statement. It says, I don't need to explain myself to someone who never listened in the first place. It says, I've stopped playing the game. And nothing unsettles a narcissist more than someone who refuses to play. They may even test you. So you might notice a vague social media post, a random message from a mutual friend, or a memory they casually bring up online. These aren't coincidences. They're bait, subtle invitations designed to get a response. But the moment you take the bait, you're back in the cycle. You owe them nothing. Not a response, not a final word, not a reaction. The moment you went no contact, that was the message. And the longer you stay silent, the louder that message becomes. Silence says, you no longer get to disrupt my peace. Silence says, I'm healing in places you never wanted me to. So while they're hoping you'll break the silence, remember this. Holding your silence isn't weakness, it's discipline. And discipline, over time, becomes power. A narcissist hopes you'll feel guilty. That's one of their most reliable emotional weapons, and they've likely been planting that seed since the beginning of the relationship. You see, guilt is one of the easiest emotions to exploit, especially for someone with a conscience, someone like you. And narcissists are incredibly skilled at twisting situations to make it seem like your pain is their pain, your boundary is betrayal, and your distance is cruelty. So when you go no contact, they don't just see it as rejection, they frame it as abandonment, and they want you to believe it too. They'll play the victim in their own version of the story. They'll conveniently leave out the manipulation, the gaslighting, the emotional roller coasters. Instead, they'll focus on how you gave up. They'll say things like, after everything I did for you, or I always tried my best, as if their version of love was healthy or selfless. It wasn't, but their hope is that you forget that part. They want to shift the focus from what they did to how you left. This emotional reversal is how they maintain control even after you physically walked away. They want you to lie awake at night replaying conversations. They want you to question if you were too cold, too harsh, too quick to cut them off. They know that if you start feeling responsible for their pain, it weakens your boundary. They rely on the part of you that's empathetic, that wants to believe people can change, that hates causing others harm, even when those others have harmed you repeatedly. Oh, but here's the truth. Guilt doesn't always mean you did something wrong. Sometimes it just means you're doing something different, something healthy. When you've been in a toxic dynamic long enough, even choosing peace can feel selfish. Even choosing yourself can feel like you're hurting someone else. That's how warped things become when emotional abuse is dressed up as love. They also know how to trigger guilt by reminding you of the good times. Remember when we laughed so much? You said you'd always be there. These aren't memories, they're emotional hooks. The goal is to make you feel like you're betraying not just them, but the entire relationship. They want you to believe you've thrown away something sacred, rather than walked away from something that was damaging your sense of self. But here's what they can't stand: when your guilt doesn't drive you back. When instead of reaching out, you sit with that guilt, feel it fully, and still choose to protect yourself. That's when their influence starts to fade. Because true healing is being able to say, yes, I feel guilty, but I still know this was the right thing. You don't owe anyone your destruction just because they once called it love. Feeling guilty doesn't mean you made the wrong choice. It often means you're finally making the right one for you. And that's exactly what they hope you'll forget. A narcissist hopes you'll miss the chaos. They know how the relationship functioned, not on stability, but on emotional volatility. Highs that felt euphoric, lows that shattered you, and a constant cycle of intensity that kept you hooked. It wasn't love, it was emotional addiction. They know this, even if they'd never admit it. And when you go no contact, what they're really hoping is that the stillness, the peace, the quiet that follows starts to feel empty to you. Boring. Lifeless, because they've trained your nervous system to equate love with intensity, not safety. That's the dangerous part about being with a narcissist for too long. You get used to feeling constantly on edge. One moment, you're the center of their universe. The next, you're walking on eggshells, unsure of what will set them off. But that unpredictability creates a kind of attachment that's hard to break. The ups feel like love because the downs hurt so much. They give you just enough validation to keep you hopeful, then withdraw it to keep you anxious. That cycle is designed to create dependency. And when you step away from it, when you finally go no contact, it's like stepping off a roller coaster. You feel the stillness, and at first it feels unnatural. If they're hoping that stillness turns into longing, that you begin to crave the spikes of emotion, even if they came with pain. They want you to miss the drama because the drama was how they kept you engaged. In their mind, if you're not crying, fighting, or obsessing over them, you must be slipping away, and they can't stand that. So they hope the silence gets too loud. that the absence of chaos makes you feel numb, that you start to confuse peace with loneliness. They also hope that you start thinking, at least when we were together, I felt something. But here's the truth. Feeling something isn't always a sign of connection. Sometimes it's a sign of being manipulated. Sometimes what you felt wasn't love. It was survival mode. And just because the chaos felt familiar doesn't mean it was healthy. Healing from a narcissist means retraining your body and mind to feel safe in calmness, to recognize that love isn't meant to be a battlefield. It's not supposed to make you question your worth or exhaust your spirit. But that's not what they want you to remember. They want you to idealize the chaos. They want you to see it as passion, as depth, as proof of how intense the connection was. Because if you do, you're more likely to go back. But the truth is, if a relationship feels like chaos, it's not love, it's control wrapped in intensity. And when you stop missing the chaos, that's when you start reclaiming your peace. That's when you begin to realize the absence of drama isn't emptiness, it's healing. It's healing. And that's what they never want you to discover. A narcissist hopes your friends and family don't support you. They thrive in isolation, not just physical but emotional too. Because as long as you're cut off from voices of reason, you're easier to manipulate. They know that the people who love you, the ones who truly have your best interests at heart, will likely see through their behavior. And that's a threat. That's why throughout the relationship, they may have subtly or even overtly undermined your support system. They may have criticized your friends, planted doubts about your family, or made you feel like no one really understands you the way they do. It's all part of a long-term strategy to make you emotionally dependent on them. When you finally go no contact, what they hope is that you'll be alone in it, that you won't have a circle of people reminding you why you left, that no one will be there to validate your pain, to hold you accountable to your growth, or to tell you that you're doing the right thing. Because narcissists know they were never your safe space, so they hope you'll be too ashamed, too confused, or too emotionally drained to reach out for support. They want the breakup to feel like abandonment from every direction, not just from them, but from the world. They might even try to flip the narrative and get to those people first. They'll play the victim, paint you as unstable, cold, unforgiving. They'll say things like, I tried everything, or they just shut me out. It's an attempt to control the story and discredit your version of events before you even get a chance to speak. Narcissists are often charming to outsiders. They know how to wear the mask. And they'll weaponize that charm to maintain their image, because image is everything. But here's the real danger. If you've been isolated long enough, you might start believing that reaching out for support is a sign of weakness, that you should be able to handle it on your own, that you're a burdener, data cutter. And that's exactly the mindset they want you to have, because the more alone you feel, the easier it becomes for them to convince you that they were the only one who ever truly cared. But healing isn't something we do in silence or secrecy. It's something we do in connection with people who remind us of who we are when we've forgotten. And your support system, however big or small, is the lifeline that helps you stay grounded in truth. It's what helps you see the manipulation for what it was, and your decision to go no contact for what it is, a declaration of self-worth. So while the narcissist hopes your friends and family don't support you, your greatest act of resistance is to let them in, to tell your story, to accept the help. Because love doesn't isolate, it includes. And the more connected you are to real love, the less you'll ever miss the illusion they tried to sell you. A narcissist hopes you'll break no contact so they can punish you. Not forgive you, not reconnect with you, not make things right, but punish you for leaving. Because in their mind, your silence isn't just a boundary, it's betrayal. How dare you walk away from their control? How dare you deny them access to your emotions, your energy, your attention? To a narcissist, no contact isn't an act of self-preservation. It's an insult. It wounds their ego, and their immediate response is to find a way to make you pay for that wound. So they wait, not always patiently, but strategically. And the moment you break the silence, whether it's a message, a call, or even a subtle like on social media, they'll pounce. But not to repair, not to apologize. No, they want to win. They want to remind you that you were never really in control. They want to re-establish the imbalance of power by making you feel weak for coming back. They'll use your reach out as proof that you couldn't handle life without them. that your strength was fake, that your boundary was just a bluff. Sometimes the punishment comes in the form of coldness. You reach out hoping for clarity and they give you indifference. You hope for peace and they give you silence. Or worse, they throw your vulnerability back in your face with mocking comments like, "Oh, so now you want to talk?" Or "I knew you'd come crawling back." It's cruel, but it's calculated. It's designed to make you regret ever standing up for yourself. Other times, the punishment is more emotional. They pretend to be open and forgiving at first, luring you back with kindness. But once you've let your guard down again, they flip the script. They criticize you, blame you, remind you of everything you did wrong. And suddenly you're not being heard. You're being made to feel guilty for ever leaving. That's the trap. They don't want closure. They want a moment to regain emotional control and destabilize your healing. You see, a narcissist doesn't fear losing the relationship. They fear losing the influence. And when you go no contact, you're taking back that influence. You're saying, you no longer get to shape how I see myself, and that is intolerable to them. So when they get a second chance, they'll often use it not to rebuild, but to retaliate. Oh, this is why breaking no contact isn't just a setback. It can reopen wounds that were beginning to heal. It's not just a conversation, it's a re-entry into the same cycle you fought so hard to escape. And every time you re-engage, the narcissist learns something, that all they have to do is wait and eventually you'll return. But the moment you hold your boundary, no matter how tempted, how emotional, how lonely you feel, that's the moment you win, because their power isn't in who they are. It's in how you respond to who they are. And when you stop responding, you take back the one thing they can't stand to lose. Control. A narcissist hopes you'll believe the lies they spread about you. When you go no contact, it threatens the carefully constructed image they've built, not just for themselves, but for the world around them. Narcissists are masters at crafting a narrative that paints them as the victim, the misunderstood, the one who had tried so hard. And because their sense of self depends on this image, they react to your absence by trying to control the story others hear. They know that by telling their side first, or by distorting your side, they can maintain sympathy and support from mutual friends, family, or even colleagues. They hope that in your silence, their version of events becomes the truth in the eyes of others. This isn't accidental. It's a calculated move to isolate you further and undermine your credibility. The goal is simple: to make you look unreasonable, unstable, or even malicious, so that no one questions their behavior or motives. This manipulation serves multiple purposes. First, it protects their ego. Narcissists cannot handle being seen as flawed or at fault. If they lose face, they lose the admiration and control they crave. So they spin stories that absolve them of responsibility and place the blame squarely on you. Second, it weakens your position by making others hesitant to support you. If people believe the lies, they may distance themselves from you, making your journey toward healing lonelier and more difficult. Moreover, they hope that when confronted with these lies, you'll feel compelled to defend yourself. They anticipate that you'll try to clarify, explain, or justify your actions to others. And every time you do, they get what they want: a reaction. Your energy is pulled back into their orbit, giving them a sense of victory. They want you so caught up in proving your truth that you lose focus on your own healing. What makes this even more damaging is that some of the lies may have a kernel of truth twisted out of context. Narcissists excel at exaggerating your flaws or mistakes to make their narrative more believable. They might highlight moments of your vulnerability or frustration and portray them as proof of your instability or cruelty. This deliberate misrepresentation can shake your confidence, making you question your reality even further. However, the most important thing to remember is that the narcissist stories are just that: stories. They're designed to protect their image, not to reveal the truth. Your silence isn't weakness, it's strength. You don't owe anyone an explanation, especially to someone who has already manipulated your reality. The best way to counteract their lies is to surround yourself with people who see and support the real you. Those who know your character, who listen without judgment, and who believe your experience. Over time, your consistent actions and integrity will speak louder than any distorted tale. So while the narcissist hopes you'll be crushed by the rumors they spread, the reality is that their power lies only in your reaction. When you refuse to engage, when you hold firm in your truth, their stories lose impact. And that's when you truly start reclaiming your freedom. A narcissist hopes you'll underestimate how much they've really hurt you. One of the subtle ways they maintain control, even after you've gone no contact, is by minimizing the impact of their actions in your mind. They want you to believe that what happened wasn't as bad as you think, that you're overreacting, or that you're too sensitive. This hope works like a slow poison. It seeps into your self-perception, making you question the validity of your own feelings and experiences. When you've been in a relationship with a narcissist, the emotional wounds often run deep, but they're not always obvious at first glance. You might feel drained, anxious, confused, or ashamed, but you may not fully recognize how much trauma has accumulated. The narcissist hopes you stay unaware of this damage because awareness leads to healing, and healing threatens their power. They want you to downplay your pain so you'll stay stuck in denial or doubt rather than seeking the help and support you need. Another reason they want you to underestimate the hurt is that it makes it easier for others to dismiss your experience. If you second-guess yourself, or if you talk about your pain in a way that sounds hesitant or unsure, people may not take you seriously. They might say things like, "Are you sure you're not just overreacting?" Or maybe it wasn't that bad. This only adds to your isolation and confusion, exactly what the narcissist desires. By keeping your pain minimized, they also hope you won't fully commit to your recovery. If you think it's not that bad, you might avoid therapy, self-care, or building new healthy boundaries. You might convince yourself that moving on is simple, that you just need to get over it, instead of giving yourself the time and compassion necessary to truly heal. That's exactly where they want you. Caught between what you endured and the belief that it's not serious enough to demand change. The truth is, the pain caused by a narcissist's manipulation and abuse is very real. It affects your sense of self-worth, your emotional stability, and your ability to trust others. It can leave scars that take time to heal, and that's okay. Acknowledging the depth of your hurt is the first courageous step toward reclaiming your power and rebuilding your life. You deserve to validate your own feelings and experiences without apology. And recognizing how deeply you were hurt doesn't mean you're stuck there. It means you're ready to heal. So, while the narcissist hopes you'll minimize your wounds, you have the power to do the opposite. You can give yourself permission to feel, to grieve, and to seek support. By doing so, you break the cycle of doubt and denial they tried to trap you in. The more you honor your pain, the stronger you become, and the more you reclaim your freedom from their influence. A narcissist hopes you'll doubt yourself after going no contact, because self-doubt is a powerful tool for keeping you trapped in their influence, even from a distance. They understand that the moment you start questioning your own judgment, your decisions, and your worth, you become vulnerable again. You become more likely to reconsider breaking the silence or revisiting the toxic relationship. This doubt undermines your confidence, your healing process, and your ability to fully trust yourself. Exactly what they want. Narcissists are masters at gaslighting, a manipulative tactic where they make you question your reality. So when you go no contact, they hope you carry that confusion with you. They want you to wonder if you were too harsh, if you misunderstood their intentions, or if you somehow provoked the problems. This internal conflict creates emotional turmoil and can leave you stuck in a cycle of second-guessing. Instead of feeling empowered by your choice to walk away, you start to feel unsure, anxious, and hesitant. They rely on your empathy and your desire for harmony to keep you guessing. You might replay conversations over and over, searching for clues or moments where you could have done something differently. You might wonder if maybe you missed the signs that they really did care, or if your boundaries were unrealistic. This mental replay not only drains your energy, but also opens the door for them to regain control if you reach back out. The doubt also extends to how you see yourself. Narcissists often attack your self-esteem during the relationship, planting seeds of inadequacy and unworthiness. When you doubt yourself, those old insecurities resurface. You might feel like you're not strong enough to move on, or that you don't deserve better. This self-doubt can make you question whether you're capable of building healthy relationships in the future, which keeps you emotionally tethered to the past. But the key to overcoming this trap is recognizing that doubt is a natural part of healing. It doesn't mean you made the wrong decision. It means you're human. Every step toward growth involves uncertainty because you're breaking old patterns and stepping into the unknown. The important thing is to notice when doubt is creeping in and to remind yourself of the reasons you chose no contact in the first place. Remember the moments that made you realize this relationship was toxic, the times you felt diminished or controlled, and the ways your well-being improved after setting boundaries. It's also helpful to lean on trusted friends, family, or therapists who can offer perspective and reaffirm your experience. External validation can help balance the internal doubt and remind you that your feelings and choices are valid. The more you reinforce your own voice, the less power doubt will have over you. Ultimately, a narcissist hopes your self-doubt will lead you back to them. But by building your confidence and trusting your instincts, you reclaim your narrative. You stop questioning your worth and start believing in your strength. That shift is the true victory, the moment when you break free from their influence for good. A narcissist hopes you'll believe you're alone in your experience because isolation is their greatest weapon. When you go no contact, the silence can feel overwhelming, and in those quiet moments, it's easy to start thinking you're the only one who has gone through something like this. Narcissists count on that loneliness to make you question your sanity, your strength, and your reality. They want you to feel isolated because without connection, you lose perspective and support. They hope you'll internalize the messages they've planted throughout the relationship, that no one else would understand, that people would judge you, or that you must have caused the problems. This sense of being uniquely broken or difficult keeps you trapped in shame and silence. It can also make you hesitant to seek help or share your story with others. Narcissists rely on the idea that if you believe you're alone, you'll feel powerless to change your situation. Moreover, they know that isolation weakens your ability to rebuild your sense of self. Healthy connections remind you of your worth, provide emotional validation, and help you rebuild trust in others and yourself. When you feel alone, it's harder to access those sources of strength. This makes the narcissist's absence feel like a vacuum, a void that only they seem to fill, even if that filling was toxic or damaging. The hope that you feel alone is also about control. It's also about control. Narcissists want to keep a psychological hold on you long after contact ends. When you think no one else understands or supports you, you're more likely to ruminate on the past and less likely to focus on your growth and healing. That internal focus on a me versus them keeps you stuck in a cycle of self-doubt and pain, which ironically makes you more emotionally available to their influence, even from afar. But the reality is you are not alone. There are countless others who have experienced narcissistic abuse and come out stronger on the other side. There are communities, therapists, and resources dedicated to supporting people exactly like you. Connecting with others who share similar experiences can be transformative for Weezer. It helps break the spell of isolation, replaces shame with understanding, and empowers you to reclaim your story. Recognizing that you're not alone is a critical step in healing. It reminds you that your feelings are valid, your struggles are shared, and your recovery is possible. When you embrace that connection, the narcissist's hope of keeping you isolated loses its power. Instead of feeling trapped, you begin to feel part of a larger journey toward freedom and self-love. So while a narcissist hopes you'll believe you're alone, your true power comes from reaching out, sharing your truth, and finding your community. In that connection lies your strength and the end of their hold over you. A narcissist hopes you'll forget the lessons you learned while you were no contact, because forgetting means vulnerability, a vulnerability they can exploit again if you ever re-engage with them. The no-contact period is more than just a break from communication. It's a critical time for reflection, growth, and healing. During this time, you gain clarity about what the relationship truly was, what boundaries you need to set, and what patterns you must avoid in the future. But narcissists count on the idea that with enough time, you'll start to romanticize the past, downplay the abuse, and convince yourself that things weren't as bad as they seemed. They hope you'll let go of the hard-earned wisdom that protected you when you went no contact. They want you to forget the red flags you recognized, the ways you rebuilt your self-esteem, and the importance of prioritizing your emotional well-being. If you lose sight of those lessons, you become more susceptible to falling back into old patterns, believing promises that were never kept, excusing behavior that was hurtful or ignoring the warning signs you once spotted clearly. This hope isn't accidental. Narcissists know that memory is malleable, especially when emotions are involved. Over time, the pain dulls, the intensity fades, and without conscious effort, you might romanticize the good times while conveniently forgetting the damage. This selective memory can create a dangerous illusion that tempts you back into contact or makes you lower your boundaries. They're betting on your humanity, your capacity for hope and forgiveness, to lure you back into their cycle. They also want you to forget the empowerment you felt when you took control of your life by going no contact. That sense of reclaiming your voice, setting limits, and choosing peace threatens their control. If you forget how strong you were to say no, you might underestimate your own resilience. You might believe that you need them more than you actually do. However, the truth is that the lessons you learned during no contact are your greatest defense. They are the roadmap to your freedom and the foundation for healthier relationships in the future. Remembering these lessons means honoring your growth and protecting yourself from repeating the same mistakes. Keeping these lessons alive requires ongoing self-awareness and commitment. It means regularly reminding yourself why you chose no contact in the first place, recognizing the patterns that led to harm, and trusting your instincts when something feels off. It means celebrating your progress and valuing your peace more than temporary comfort. When you hold on to what you learned, you break the cycle for good. You build a life where your boundaries are respected, your voice is heard, and your worth is undeniable. And that's the last thing a narcissist wants. So while they hope you'll forget the lessons, your true power lies in remembering them. That remembrance is your shield, your compass, and your freedom, ensuring that you never have to surrender your peace again. In the end, understanding what a narcissist hopes when you go no contact is not about giving them any more power. It's about reclaiming your own. They hope you'll come back, doubt yourself, feel isolated, or forget the hard-won lessons that protect you. But the truth is, every hope they cling to reveals their fear. Fear of losing control over you and the life you're choosing for yourself. Going no contact is not just an act of silence. It's a powerful declaration of self-respect, boundaries, and freedom. It's a step toward healing and rediscovering your worth beyond manipulation and emotional harm. By holding firm, seeking support, and trusting your own truth, you dismantle the control they once had. You take back your narrative and your power. Remember, the narcissist's hopes are the exact reasons why your strength matters so much. They want to keep you trapped, but your choice to walk away and stay away breaks their cycle. Your growth, your healing, and your peace are the true victories. So hold on to your truth, nurture your support, and never forget the lessons you've learned. Because the most profound message you can send a narcissist is this: you are no longer theirs to control. You are free, whole, and unstoppable.